identification. Listeners' permission is advised.
Sorry.
Welcome back to the Dark Vault. I'm the delicious Nicolicious. You got to
I'm
tell.
Rob.
Yeah.
And the Dark Vault is also what I call my assholes. Thank you guys for listening to my asshole.
Rob is at his home. We're doing this via Discord with our friend from Tales from the Dark, Bob. Welcome in, Bob. How are you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing, man. How are you guys doing?
I can't complain.
We're good now that we finally got your fucking audio working.
Yeah, you would think the amount of like tech tips I've given Nick over the time I've known him, I'm never the one who has audio problems and just happened to fuck it all up this time.
Yep. Well, that's what you get when you skimp out on equipment. You buy that Behringer shit, all that really nasty podcasting equipment they're trying to sell on Craigslist and stuff. You pay the price, Bob.
We have the exact same setup.
I'm not here to debate. I'm not here to split hairs. I'm here to tell you that you're not putting forth 100% and you're going to get into it. You're going to get out of it what you put into it. Just like an oven. You put bread in it, you get bread out. That's the way it works, Bob.
That's right. I'm not going to argue. That's fine. I'll accept this.
All right. Now, everyone seems to love when Bob from Tales from the Dark comes on the Brohio podcast for the Dark Vault. Bob has his own podcast for those of you that are listening to him for the first time called Tales from the Dark with a YouTube channel that goes along with it called Tales from the Dark. And he covers all kinds of things, much along the same premise as us, and sometimes a little bit weirder, but he gets really wrapped up in the Reddit and TikTok theories and all the kinds of cool breaking edge type stuff that we don't do. So anytime we want to cover something cool, we got to call Bob and have him come on the show to tell us about it. And that's what we're doing tonight, Bob.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I think the only thing that really sets us apart, I'm much younger and much better looking. And I go and
Debatable.
experience it firsthand. I mean, it's not debatable. It's actual fact. We did a poll. You guys just weren't involved.
You sat on a poll, maybe. You didn't do a fucking poll.
Look, what Rob and I do when you're not around is not really your business.
Yeah, believe me, I know what Rob's doing when I'm not around. I got that shit on fucking lock, so. Now, Bob, we also, on your show, you have a female co-host. I like to call Rob my girl, but you have a real female co-host, Brittany.
Yes, I do. So she is unfortunately not able to join us tonight, but she's the one who kind of helped me crack this particular mystery, and we dove into it together for about 2.5 hours on last Friday's episode.
Okay, well, for those of you probably wondering, first off, I'm going to start with the job description that Bob sent me. This is for the Dallas Cellar Club, and I think that immediately when Bob reached out to me about this, or I reached out to him, there was this had a really strong Epstein vibe to me. It just really was a really strong Epstein vibe. So this job listing on jobsearcher.com is for a hostess/server at the Dallas Cellar Club. It says wine hostesses, exciting part-time, full-time opportunity for positive customer service oriented individuals for upscale private wine clubs / lounge, like to role play, looking to further develop your skills of seduction, be a cellar doll. Multiple franchises throughout the U.S., including Dallas, Texas. College students looking to supplement income during the school year and summer are welcome to apply. Must be open to learning about wine. No tipping allowed. Cash option available. No experience required. Entry level is okay. Training provided. Must be 18 years or older. Other than that, age is not a factor. So just so you fit the job description, there's a phone number with a recording that goes along with it, and we're going to get into that in just a few minutes. It says it's essential that you call to hear the full recording. This is a California area code, but this club is located in Dallas in the Turtle Creek neighborhood. You may also email us at Dallas Cellar Club at uscellarclubs.com. Attention, Missy Adams, please do not call expecting to speak with us unless you've heard both recordings. Please do not hang up in the middle of either recording. You will save yourself a lot of trouble if you take the time to follow the instructions correctly. This is a fucking job posting right here. This
is crazy.
Yeah. After you hear the recording, you may call us or email us, same email address. Please be sure to state in your email that you have heard the full recording. Once again, to hear the recording, call 310-272-9110. And some of you big, bald motherfuckers listening to this podcast can call that if you want. You can call 24/7. Weekends or holidays are okay. The recording will answer all your questions. Please be prepared with pen and paper. If we are unable to pick up, it's okay to be persistent. We hire regularly throughout the calendar year, and you are always welcome to apply. If you can't get through first time, please keep trying. Make sure. If your carrier is T-Mobile or Metro PCS, you may have some difficulties getting through the recording because you're a poor-ass motherfucker and you can't afford a real phone service. If this is the case, try call recording from a non-T-Mobile phone, or just let us know and we'll provide a workaround so you can hear the recording. There is lots of weird stuff in that job description, Bob.
Oh yeah. It when I came across the TikTok that I sent you, I'm like, all right, I'm going to look into this and see if it's, because my first thought, of course, is it's an ARG or it's a meme. I mean, we ran down the Fattel stuff. We're not a stranger to calling weird fucking phone numbers and seeing where it leads us. Then I go do some digging around on Reddit and going through the comments, and I noticed that this has been going on for the past 10 years.
Okay.
And it's not just SoCal and Texas, it's Boston. I found some in Boston, found some in Georgia, some in Philly. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to keep, before we make an episode about this and really dive in, we're going to call these numbers. So I listen to the entire thing, and they have a management problem because they've changed managers. Because the job posting you just read was relatively recent. And then there's a gentleman that's in charge now, apparently. We go through all these postings, we go through the comments, and then we go through Reddit, and someone's like, yeah, my girlfriend, actually met up with this guy. It's absolutely sex trafficking. Now, again, it's Reddit, so I believe nothing that's on Reddit apart from, some of the punctuation might be correct on occasion.
Well, yeah, but Reddit's a really cool spot, though. I don't want to completely discredit it altogether because then, it's more of just it is a forum, and it's a popular forum. So you can't discredit everything you hear on Reddit, but I think there's certainly a grain of salt to be taken with everything that you do read on Reddit.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's called the front page of the internet for a reason.
Absolutely.
There are some good, like the high strangeness subreddit. I love that one. That one's, usually based in somewhat reality.
Right.
But we run down the Reddit, and I find another job posting about the one in Georgia. And this one messed up and listed an address. So I checked the address, and it's of a home that sold 3 months after this listing. It's like a multi-million-dollar mansion that sold in Georgia.
That makes sense.
Like 90 days after this posting was up. And apparently these clubs change locations. They'll stay in the same city. So like Atlanta, for example, they'll stay in Atlanta, but it'll hop locations, like very similar to like a speakeasy back in the day.
Okay.
And when we listen to the two recordings, because they have a Facebook page that's like 100 likes, and then that they have a shorter recording there than a 20-minute long recording that I went through on the podcast, and it starts out relatively normal, and then it quickly, similar to the application, devolves into something much more nefarious and dark.
Well, can you play us what audio you do have of the Dallas Cellar Club recordings?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is not the 20-minute version. This will be the one that's, if you go to the Facebook group or the page rather, this is what you get if you call the number that's listed there.
Okay.
Hi. If you are calling about one of the hostess/server jobs, I'm going to give you another number to call in order to listen to a 20-minute recording that will explain the job in detail. I apologize that the recording is so lengthy, but I think having complete information about the job up front will help you to make a better decision as to whether or not you're interested. Okay, so the number to call in order to hear the long recording is 641-715-3900. Once again, 641-715-3900. You are then going to be asked for a 6-digit extension. The extension is 941203. Once again, 941203. Type in the extension followed by the pound key, not the star key, the pound key, and hear the recording. It will last approximately 20 minutes. At the end of the recording, I'm going to tell you to hold on the line and that I will pick up. Please do not hold at the end of the recording. I will not pick up. You'll need to call me directly if you decide you're interested. So my direct line is 805-242-2106. Once again, 805-242-2106. And my name is Jim Carson. Carson with the C as in Charlie. Okay, I'm actually located in California, as that's where we're headquartered. We are in the process of expanding throughout the U.S., and if you are located in a different part of the country and are responding to an ad in your area, there is a club in your area. That's why we ran the ad. Okay, I'm really busy. I apologize, but you have to be persistent to get through to me. You are not bothering me. I don't care if you call me more than once. This is my job. I do want to talk to you. It's just that sometimes after we run an ad, we get overwhelmed. So if you can't get through to me on the phone, you may also text me at the same number, 805-242-2106. Just make sure that if you text me that you include your full name so I will know who the text is from. I will not respond to texts that don't include a name. You can also email me. My email address is jimcarson@cox.net. So that's JIMCARSON at C as in Charlie, OX.NET. Also, you can send photos, either email them or text them to me at the same number. Oh, one more thing. If you have T-Mobile or Metro PCS as your cell phone carrier, they may give you a hard time about hearing the recording. If that's the case, then just text me or email me, and I will send you another number that'll provide a workaround so you could hear the recording, with no problems. One last thing. I have a couple of pet peeves. First of all, whenever I talk with somebody about these jobs, I just request that you be somewhere totally by yourself with no distractions, not driving, not multitasking, nobody in the background, and then I will do the same for you. The other thing is that if you do have a boyfriend or a husband, you might want to think carefully if you want to do this or not. It doesn't usually work out, but it's up to you. But either way, I am really looking forward to talking with you. You can call me anytime, 24/7. If I don't pick up, leave me a message. I promise I will get right back to you. Thanks for your time. Bye.
Okay.
Sorry, but the user's mailbox can't accept more messages.
So,
All right.
like, it was normal up until the last 20 seconds, right?
Yeah, just oh, and by the way, if you have a husband or boyfriend, he's not going to like that we're going to fucking fuck the shit out of you and almost kill you with our wieners.
Yeah, in the 20-minute clip is similar, where it's like a trust building exercise. Like he's building your trust. Go, you can rely on me. I'll take care of you. I'm going to turn you into a nympho sex puppet where men are going to touch themselves. And you're like, wait, what the fuck did you just say? Because 2 seconds ago you were telling me I could trust you and you were going to make sure that everything was on the up and up, and all of a sudden you've changed that to I'm an object and I'm getting a clothing allowance.
So in the 20-minute version, he says what?
So several times he opens up with, this is not a sex club, okay? It's not a sex club. However, if you want to make real money, we will train you to be a massage therapist. You won't be licensed, and it's not a clinical massage, but you'll get $75 an hour. And now these men, understand that you're not going to run into anyone that here. These are usually, businessmen on the higher end side who don't want their wives to know. And if they cause a problem, we just tell their wives that they're here. But it's not a sex club. There's nothing weird. This is just a bunch of grown men drinking wine. You'll get a clothing allowance monthly of, I think it's like $450, and you can dress however you want. Yeah. We don't have a dress code.
I'm trying to get that dress. I'm trying to get that clothing allowance.
Saying, man, shit, that's a lot of money for clothes.
Give me some fucking Ed Hardy jeans.
But he goes on and he said, you're going to bend over and your booty cheeks will hang out. And, we want you to, to role play with us. Pretend, you are a sex crazed nympho, a little sex puppet. And these gentlemen will be touching themselves. And when they go back to their massage, they might only have a massage for 2 or 3 minutes, but it's nothing sexual at all. And it's like, okay, well, then what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, that's really weird for me.
Yeah, and like I said, the entire 20-minute voice clip, it's like he's trying to, convince you that he's trustworthy, that this is all in the up and up and it's all normal. And then out of nowhere, he just switches gears to, well, you are here to be objectified. If you have a husband or boyfriend, don't bring them here. They're not welcome here. I don't want to hear about them. I don't want to even know they exist.
Okay.
Like, okay, that's odd.
Yeah.
And then some of the other job postings at the bottom, it'll say, you're welcome to submit pictures. I'm like, okay, well, that's not abnormal for a modeling job. But then it says, absolutely no professional photos. We only want amateur photos that are recent within the last 2 to 3 weeks of the job posting being up. And then they mention that they will check the metadata of the photo. And it's like, well, what the fuck? Why you would think you would want like professional photos so you can see the best of the best with, if this is an up and up gig.
Yeah.
And then between that and then the several times in the longer clip, he tells you, when you call me, be alone. Don't be around other people. I'm going to want to meet you in person before I offer you the position. And during that time, you need to be alone. And it's like, okay, why? And if, we have clubs in Boston and you're in SoCal, how are you going to meet them in person? Are you going to fly out there? That's a little odd for a position that, yes, it pays $25 an hour, but that's still a lot of effort for a entry level, as he puts it, position.
Right. Now, during your, I guess through your research, did you come across anyone that claimed to have been a former employee or anything like that?
So I was on Reddit and there was a few comments about a girl who had met up with him. And it was from the boyfriend's perspective saying, yeah, I found out about this and it was for sex trafficking. They wanted her to meet him at an airport at 3 a.m.
Oh my God.
For a red-eye flight that they were going to bring her to SoCal from Atlanta, Georgia.
It's always 3 a.m. Always.
Yeah,
it is.
There was that. And then there's a few people who said, yeah, I've spoken to this guy. And when I would ask, the wrong questions, he would start to scream at me. And say, oh, I'm just seeing if you're fit for this job. Because if you can't handle me screaming at you over the phone, you're not going to handle what's going to happen to you in person.
Wow.
And like I said, this scheme, I found out through Twitter from doing some digging. They also will advertise for paralegals and like nurses' aides and things like that. But they all share the same similar thing. They talk about the club locations, for example, and say, well, they're always in an obscure place. Like they'll be in a doctor's office, for example, like in the back room of a doctor's office, or they'll be in an abandoned shopping mall. And it's like, wait, what?
That's really fucking weird.
That whole situation was fucking crazy to me. And between, the odd 20-minute long rant that he goes on, and then his conversations that he has, with you saying, I'm going to be stern with you and I expect you to just take it. It's because that's the kind of person I am. That's the kind of manager I want to be. And if you can't respond to that, then ultimately I just don't want you.
That's a daddy. That sounds like a daddy thing, like a dom, like a dom type thing.
Yeah. He's trying to set it up so you want to impress him. You want to do these things for him. And he's trying to create that dominant, like you just said, that daddy dom role play thing, but in the workplace, which doesn't really fly. And then also, Brittany pointed out, because she used to manage a country club, you would never work in a server type position that doesn't accept tips. That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
No. So I want to know from your guys' perspective, because I've asked everyone the same question. What vibes do you get from this? Like, if you had to just shot in the dark and say what this is, what do you guys think this is?
I'll let you go first, Rob Diggity Dangle Dog.
Definitely something that's not on the books. Definitely somebody who probably has a Swiss bank account. It definitely seems like a shady practice.
I think that if this was 30, 40 years ago, I would definitely say this was mob related, but just I don't think the mafia and the mob is as prevalent as it was back in, maybe the 60s and 70s. I think that long are the days gone of a mafia just setting up in an Italian restaurant all day long. While it might still happen on a smaller scale, that's kind of the vibe I get. But then with everything that's popped up in the last decade about the sex trafficking and the Epstein Island and the fucking plane rides with Willie Billy Clinton and all the this and that, there's no doubt in my mind that it's some kind of fucking horrific sex trafficking thing. This past week I was listening to AM radio, and every day there's a guy on there named Jay Ratliff that does aviation updates on the station I listen to, and he was talking about the coolest part is every day he gives like the deal of the day from Cincinnati Airport, which it's always like $60 or $70 round trip to Miami. There's a lot of good deals every day that I learn about on there. I don't necessarily take advantage of them, but they're good deals. He said that, and he worked in the air industry for a few decades. He said that just in the past 5 years or so, I guess stewardesses or flight attendants have been trained to keep a watchful eye out for people that they believe are victims of sex trafficking. So it's part of their formal training now when they're walking up and down the aisles to kind of take a look around, look for kids that are dirty, worn, tattered, maybe look like they're in distress with kind of unsavory characters. So I'm kind of glad that they've made that change, and they really focus on keeping a watchful eye on those type of situations and not just turning the naked eye or turning their head away. Also, he also said that, and this is kind of off topic, but when the flight attendant is walking up and down the aisle, they're also looking for like big, able-bodied guys. So he said that, and I'm not making this shit up. He said if you are someone that likes to rumble, like you're not afraid to fight, or you're law enforcement, or you've got some type of military, I guess, experience. They say, he said that if you're flying, you should ask for the head flight attendant and tell her, hey, and if there's a situation up in the air, you can look my direction and I'll help restrain somebody, or if anything gets physical, I'd be willing to help you out if we have to take somebody out. And I guess flight attendants really appreciate that because it kind of takes the guesswork out of, because you don't know who's a fucking bitch and who's not. And
true.
And when the shit hits the fan, some guys, and I'm just talking about guys here, some guys will just clam up. They won't do anything. They'll sit there on their hands, and there's no fight or flight for them. They just flight. They don't do anything. And it really helps the flight attendants out if you say, hey, if there's a situation, I'm ready to fucking rock and roll. So now I just want to go fly. I just want to go, like, I want to buy all these cheap plane tickets and go airline to airline and just get on and be like, hey, if anything gets out of control, I'll beat the fuck out of anybody on this plane. I just want to help out. So I really want to do that. But that was a little...
You got to do the Dollar Tree flights for that.
Yeah, the Frontier where they charge you $0.25 to take a shit in the airline bathroom.
Yeah, the ones where you guarantee that, like, that there's going to be some crummy people on there.
Yeah, they charge you $40 to bring a backpack on. Yeah, and what you asked, Bob, I think everything is, and it's just coming to light over the past decade or so. Everything is so sexually driven now. It's just, and people just do weirder and weirder shit to try and gratify themselves. And I think that this is no different than anything like that. I think it's just a weird, some kind of weird sex club. But it sounds like people are, making a living off of it. Maybe they're getting held against their will. Did you find any evidence of there being people held against their will?
So the first thing I did, and this, you guys remember this, similar to when I was on here discussing Fattel. The first thing I tried to do is and like basically ensure that this was actually a legitimate thing before wasting any time on it.
Okay.
So what I did was I found some of the older postings from like 5-6 years ago, and the one that I found that was the most prominent and most consistent across like Jobler, Monster.com, Indeed, was this one location in Southern California, in one of the smaller towns down there. And it mentions an address. So I look up the address, and it didn't really make sense because there wasn't anything there. So I look back at, okay, was there something here around this time frame? So I find this closed down Vietnamese restaurant, and you click on it and it talks about it. It's not actually a Vietnamese restaurant. It's actually a coffee bistro house. And then it's not even a coffee bistro house. It's a bikini bistro.
Okay.
So they serve you in these skimpy little outfits, so on and so forth. So I'm like, okay, well, that kind of matches. So I do what I learned in the Fattel investigation. I'm going to go to the public Google reviews because people are spiteful little shits and will post everything on a public Google review.
Yeah.
So I start reading through and there were some normal ones like, oh, the coffee tastes like shit, or so-and-so messed up my order 2 or 3 times. Like, okay, well, that's not abnormal. That's your local neighborhood Starbucks that'll do that. And then you start to go to I filtered it by oldest to newest, and you start to get people listing out names. Oh, I really liked how Ashley looked today in her Star Spangled Banner bikini. And it's like, okay, well, that's kind of weird, but not too off topic. And then it goes to, gentlemen, if you're looking for a location and it had a string of numbers, this is no longer it. This has changed ownership. And then I was like, okay, well, that's odd. So I start looking into those numbers. Well, those are area codes for these other job postings.
Okay.
So
Okay.
So at that point, I'm like, okay, I think I've now narrowed this down to this is what's happening here. And then it goes to discussing massages in some of these reviews. And I'm like, okay, someone would just read that and think, oh, it's just a mistake. This is a coffee place with massages rather. Well, then we go to that 20-minute recording where he said, if you want to make real money, we'll train you to do non-clinical massages. And that's when I knew I had struck gold. This place had existed at one point in time, no longer exists. And then that now explains why you can actually kind of track this via timeline. Every couple of months, they jump to a different state, different location, and they're always on the move to temporary locations. And it seems like the thing they have in common is either it's a liminal type of space, like the home that was being sold, or a restaurant that's about to be closed down. And they're always in like a already established place. So you wouldn't look like, let's say you drive by the bowling alley here in town. You'd never think that something was going on there that's nefarious because you've been to the bowling alley, you know what's there. Well, if they've fallen on tough times, they're not getting any customers, you're not going to think twice about 10, 11 cars in the parking lot. Or in the case of the mansion that I mentioned, you're not going to think twice about, a couple McLarens in front of a giant $6 million mansion.
Yeah,
so I was able, like I said, to establish that this is actually actively happening, and it still seems to be happening. The girl that I reached out to on TikTok, she was very willing to talk, and she said, yeah, I got in contact with a guy. He's a real guy, and it is the guy from the recording. So not necessarily found anyone that's being held against their will, but at the very least, I was able to establish, yes, this is still occurring, and yes, it has actually occurred and been in a location in the past.
I know in terms of investigating these sex crimes and different sex stuff in all different cities, I don't know if you're familiar with USA Sex Guide. It was whenever I worked in law enforcement many, many moons ago. That was a website that a lot of Johns would utilize in terms of finding, sexual hotspots, super populated spots for prostitutes and whatnot. I know there was something a few years ago where they had to change the name, but I know USA Sex Guide was it led to a lot of arrests, and it led to a lot of trafficking that was broken up just by all the things that were contained within that website. But I think it's still around, so if you just use a Google search, you can probably fucking find it. So
yeah. So one thing that was pointed out by one of our listeners, this gentleman or this young lady, she looks it up and figures out that there's a gentleman by the name of Jim Carson. And if you type in Jim Carson, California sex trafficking, just use the buzzwords from what we think this could be, you find a guy that's literally the top hit on Google for that name, and anything to do with sex trafficking is the same guy. He's on LinkedIn, Google News, YouTube, talking about the dangers of sex trafficking and raising awareness.
Okay.
So, that theory is either he's living a crazy double life, which is incredibly not likely, or they're choosing names that are either incredibly obscure, like I think one was like Pamela or some bullshit that they had on their Facebook page for a while, or they're hiding behind people that are actually advocates against sex trafficking. So when you look this up, it's like, oh, I feel much better because this is Southern California. This guy is from Southern California and he's advocating against sex trafficking. So now I feel safer going into this job. Now, granted, that's just a theory, but it was kind of odd that when you type in those buzzwords, you find a guy from Southern California that dings all the boxes with what you'd be concerned about, and he's fighting the good fight, more or less.
Yeah. Well, I think that there would be this could be like one of those secret, much like the Skull and Bones Society, or I guess the Epstein Island shit. This could be like a heavy hitter type deal where it's, maybe like well-to-do people, politicians, different influencers, and, I guess, what's it called? I can't remember what you call someone that just donates money and everyone wants to be their fucking friend, but
a philanthropist?
Yeah, philanthropist. It's one of those things. That's a really tough word, Bob. Thank you for getting that out of me.
Well, see, what I encourage everyone to do is, if you guys don't want to go through the entire episode that we did Friday, you can skip and find it's at the ass end of the episode. We go through the entire 20-minute clip and we break it all down one by one. And there were a few things that stood out. Like he says, don't be concerned that you're going to see someone that it doesn't ever happen. When it does happen, it's a non-issue. We make sure it's a non-issue.
See maybe another girl that like a friend or something like that?
Well, I think what they're more concerned about is running into like a guy that you would know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This type of worker. And that stuck out to me. So it's like, well, if it's just like a Hooters situation, which is basically what this would be, is just a high-end Hooters, if we are led to believe what he's claiming, who cares? Like your friends probably know who you are and that you're doing this, or the type of character that you may or may not be. I didn't see the big play for anonymity that he was trying to portray. But then he said, also, if you have girlfriends that come and work for us, understand that we'll never talk to them about you.
They're not coming home.
I'm sorry?
If you have a girlfriend, she's not coming home.
Yeah, fair enough. But like I said, they're like, we won't talk about you. You won't talk to, and vice versa. It's all on the up and up. But then he says, if you have a side to you that you want to explore, I'll help you with that. I want to hear about that. I don't want to have to beat it out of you. I don't want to have to, walk on glass to get answers. Just be forthcoming. I'm not gonna beg you to tell me, but I want you to tell me. I want to hear who you want to be in that reality. Yeah. And it's like, well, hang on a second, what? And then he continues to say, we're going to train you. We're going to teach you how to control men. You're going to be in full control, and you might already be good at it. We're going to make you the best at it. You're going to fully be in control of these men, and you're going to have them panting like dogs. And it's like, can you objectify people any harder, my guy? You're making this incredibly clear what this actually is.
If I had nice boobies, I'd be able to do that too.
I mean, you already do, though.
You already do.
Thank you, both of you.
I'm just saying, when I was at the live show, I was hiding a quarter chub when we hugged. I was like, man, this is
No, I felt it.
Strong. It's strong but gentle at the same time.
Really, like with the height difference, it was on your shoulder, so that really wasn't my fault.
It was like a Furby. It was soft on the outside, but still yet really hard.
To bring up Furbies right now, I mean, if you want to alienate our friendship and end it, that's fine, but just be an adult about it. Don't bring Furbies into this.
I'm sorry. It was just too easy.
I don't. The one thing I learned from podcasting, I should have asked your advice. Like, hey, Nick, what do I not talk about? Don't ever talk about your fears, because
anything you don't like,
your community will then weaponize that against you.
Yeah,
I can't open Facebook without seeing, like, I go to the group and it's like wholesome posts and they're nice, and then it's 17 Furby Armada pictures.
Yeah. Well, it'll eventually work itself out in 10 or 12 years. So
yeah, I hope so, because I don't know, 10 or 12 years, I'll be about your guys' age. So I think I could probably handle a little bit better around that time.
Sure.
This situation, man, it's wild. We didn't know what to make of it, but there was enough red flags that I at least wanted to get it out in front of people and say, hey, if you know somebody that might fall for this or be interested in something like this, talk to them, pay attention to what's going on. Something's not on the up and up. Because even all the one thing I forgot to mention real quick is the number that you call to listen to the 20-minute recording. It's a old school like voicemail sharing phone number, and it's registered. It hasn't been re-registered in like the last 18 years.
Okay.
And when I was like, okay, well, I'm going to play around with some other number combinations instead of dialing in that certain extension. And I got one that this guy was like, I used to be an alcoholic. And one day I was leaving the liquor store. I blacked out and I hit a guy with a bottle and he was unconscious. And I had to go to the hospital because I was bleeding from my hand. And as I'm in the ambulance, the guy said, you need to find Jesus. And I'm just like, hang on a fucking second. What about the guy you hit with a bottle? I don't give a shit about you needing stitches. You hit a gentleman in the face with a bottle.
He just met Jesus.
Yeah. but there's a lot of things like that. And then the Facebook phone number. Do you guys remember Magic Jack? Like that a couple years back?
Oh, yeah.
So that number, the one that the Facebook number I just showed you guys, that's a Magic Jack phone number that's still active. So they're going out of their way to make sure that you don't know who they are. It's very, like I said, reminiscent of the Fattel stuff where you're bounced all over the place trying to, just get one single answer.
Yeah. I forget how Magic Jack worked. It was like, isn't it just it
pretty much it pretty much plugs into a phone port of like your computer. It works that way. From what I remember, because I remember using or running across those a lot in my field of work, and I think there's like a thing where you plug it into your computer, and then it also has a phone jack on it to where you can plug a phone into it as well, maybe.
Okay, yeah. So you're pretty much just getting phone service through your computer, I guess?
Yes, you're getting a phone number through the internet, and then your the jack itself plugs into your landline phone. I do believe it's been probably 15 years since I've seen one of those, but yeah, I used to run across them quite often, especially with the older folks.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my thing. So I remember seeing them at Walmart for like $8 or $10, and you paid a very cheap like lifetime membership fee.
Yeah.
But I talked to some friends that were in the tech field, and they said the reason that you would use these Magic Jack numbers is if you have a VPN on your computer that will bounce that number. Naturally the number will stay the same. It'll have the same area code.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to trace it back to the computer it was using, and you're using a VPN, it's going to bounce to wherever your VPN is sending all of your internet traffic.
Right.
That's so use them.
It's essentially a burner phone for people that don't want to buy burner phones.
Exactly.
I need one of those. Bob, have you found any evidence of like any police investigations surrounding this at all?
So there was one single article that the Atlanta PD had been notified, and I think the quote, the guy just said, "Yep, that's definitely weird," and that was about as far as they got.
Wow.
Now again, the only physical location I found was in Southern California, and if these are hopping every couple of months, I did speak to my friend who's like an active cop up in Toledo. I asked him how they would handle this, and he said, honestly, by the time we would get the information what we needed, if they moved, it'd be an ongoing thing, a never-ending fight. And if they jump state to state to state, we lose jurisdiction. He's like, this is one of those things that sounds terrible for me to admit, but we couldn't do much about it unless you said, hey, this is happening at this address at this time. Then we can go and do something about it. But if it's jumping around the way that you guys are portraying in the episode, there's very little we can actually do about this. So again, that's, now granted, he's not a detective. He's just a regular beat cop, but he's been there for a couple of years. I know he did time with a couple different task forces. So whenever I have like a random law enforcement question, because when I was an auxiliary cop, it was a town of like 16 people. So I didn't have that kind of a background. But for him to say, we would of course take this serious, but if they're moving the way that you're saying and they're jumping state to state to state, all we can do really is notify one of the federal bureaus and let them take over from there.
Yeah, there's a lot of alleged trafficking going on in Toledo as well.
Yeah, Toledo, and then Chillicothe as well. I don't know if you've heard about the missing women in Chillicothe.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, this Ohio is just turning into a cesspool. Everything is turning into East Cleveland really quickly.
That's super. That's really good news. It's exciting for Rob. He's really been looking for love for a long time now. So
yeah, it's been a long time coming.
No, like I said, this story, it's weird. And I got the question early on, like, Bob, do you think this is an ARG? Do you think this is just a game? And I said, I initially thought it had some of the variables of a very good ARG. Again, don't misconstrue that as saying this is a good thing at all, but it could have been a fun mystery had it all been nonsense. And then as I started peeling the layers back, similar to Fattel, when I got to Detroit, saw the phone actually existed, talked to the voice operator, and he was a total dick. Right. I started realizing, there's actually something to this, whether it's nefarious or not. I have no, I'm a podcast host. I'm not a cop.
Yeah.
But there were enough layers to this that raised enough red flags that I wanted to, that's why I wanted to come on the show and just spread some awareness. I highly encourage people. Like I said, it's not about the views on the episode. We have the full unedited clip on the episode, and you can kind of see why we got so uncomfortable so fast because, unfortunately, due to time, we couldn't play the whole thing here, but he just changes into like different people to, I want you to trust me, to, I want to basically, at the end, he said, we're going to teach you, we're going to turn you into what we need you to be to get what we need out of these guys. And it's like, okay, that's literally like the definition of grooming, what you just said.
It could honestly be like some kind of master ploy to make money, much like a really high scale strip club. I don't know. I doubt that. I wholeheartedly believe these women are being victimized, but I guess I hold out a little bit of hope that all of the parties are willing and that it's all consensual, but I doubt it. So
yeah, that's where our head was as well, as we gave our guess of what this was, but ultimately, like, I'm not pretty enough for him to call back. I tried to call him. He wouldn't call me back.
Well, you got to let me take the pictures. And don't take them yourself. You got to have somebody with some experience take those fucking pictures.
He doesn't want professional photos, though. So I thought my bathroom mirror selfie, my leg hiked up, showing, the full goatsy would get him a call. Yeah. It didn't. He wasn't even interested.
A wide angle of the fruit bowl. Yeah. I know what guys like. I know what brings all the boys to the yard, so...
I mean, this is my third time on the show, so clearly you're doing something correct.
Yeah, you're a return customer for sure. I think that, man, so weird. And I think was the Dallas one the biggest hot spot in terms of these cellar clubs, or where was the hot spot? Where was the one with the most activity, you think?
So it seems like Southern California is where they got their start, and that's where it was like 17 different cities within SoCal.
And the thing about those big cities like that, it's just where you go to get lost, man. You just get lost in the shuffle so easily in cities like that. Just millions of fucking people, and there's no amount of resources ever that would be enough to protect all the people from all the crime in those cities, and it's just really easy to go places like that and just get fucking lost in the shuffle in something like this.
Exactly. And then when I looked up the Dallas metro area, like where this was posted, I think there was something like 6,100 active business licenses just within like a 20-mile radius within that area.
God damn.
And if they're, and now granted, active business licenses don't necessarily mean, physical brick and mortar stores, but even if it's just half of that is physical brick and mortar stores, and they're saying these are in, obscure pre-existing buildings. It's like, okay, well, any one of these, you walk by a strip mall, any one of these could be, the back room, and that's where the stuff is happening. And that's why I think it would be so hard to narrow this down, that if you weren't invited, and that's the other thing that they talk about, the members are all invited. Like, you don't just show up. You have to, similar to, I'm not saying that they're involved, but similar to the Freemasons, you have to get an invitation in by a pre-existing member to even be considered. And then there's a extensive background check process before you're allowed to come to your first, meeting, basically.
And I did listen to one part of the interview where it says, the men we have are like 40 to 50 years old, and they have money. We don't have young guys. These are men that are well to do. Does the TikTok video you sent me, does it pretty much say the same things, or?
So the TikTok video just has a couple things from the longer 20-minute clip that are in there.
I'm gonna play it real quick if you don't mind. I have it. I have it right.
Hostess position at the wine club.
Let me refresh it. Make sure I'm playing it from the beginning.
And the job is for a hostess position at the wine.
Oh my God! It stopped. What happened?
Club. It definitely helps if you're interested in learning more about wine. But the thing that you have to remember is that it is a men's club. It's not a strip club. The members tend to be older guys, and they're going to be in their 40s and 50s for the most part. Mostly businessmen and professional types. And one of the reasons that they're older in general is because they have to pay a rather hefty annual membership fee to join. And younger guys usually don't have that kind of money. And not only that, younger guys tend to cause problems.
Fuck yeah, they do.
So the members are definitely going to be more professional type men. Usually they're married and they don't want anyone to know that they're in the club. But the members do have one thing in common, and that is they live in club. And the job is for a hostess position at the wine club. It definitely helps if you're interested in learning more about wine. But the thing that you have to remember is that it is a men's club.
Okay, I didn't realize that fucking restarted. But
Yeah, so he repeats that like several times. Like, this is a men's club. This isn't a boys' club. But what's interesting is some of the job postings in the Georgia area say these are usually recently graduated college alumni from the local town. That's okay. Well, recently graduated and 40 and 50-year-old men that are older that doesn't really line up. So the story seems to change. Yeah, so his story seems to change based off of, the demographic of the area where they are. Like if it's a more party heavy town, they're like, oh, well, these will be, it might be some younger guys, but these are the respectable kinds. I went to college. I went to college and I wouldn't trust me around anyone's daughter for more than 20 minutes. So I don't really think that those two things overlap.
Oh, well, see, I'm looking on Reddit. Some of these are 10, 11, 12 years old, like from Raleigh, North Carolina. And there's a lot of really weird ones from a long time ago.
Yeah, they seem to be pulling the same scam, assuming it's a scam. They seem to be pulling the same thing over and over and over, just countrywide.
This one from 2009, I think. Well, actually, this was 4 months ago. This is New York State or North Carolina State. It says a friend of mine found this job listing for a server position, and I can't find any information about this company online aside from another position. There's a sketchy sounding recording with more details, and we're just wondering if this is some nasty rich gentleman's club. And it says the first most upvoted comment says the address listed as a house in a gated community.
Yeah, so very similar to that place in Georgia. And I bet if you looked up that address, you would see that it sold within a couple of months of that ad being up.
Yeah.
Because that seems to be the continuing like pattern with this thing. And it's such a bizarre concept because it just reminded me, like I said this earlier in the show, so much of a speakeasy. Like it's a friend of a friend to get in type of organization, but it's just it just feels disgusting to me.
Yeah, it does. Well, I think that let me see if doing one more quick search right here, see if it brings anything back worth reading. Yeah, just all really weird job postings all over the country, like you said, Dallas, Raleigh, Santa Barbara, California. Man. And they're top 10 best Asian nightclubs in Dallas, Texas.
Now, one thing that did pop up when we were looking at if you look up Dallas Cellar Club, there was allegedly a swingers club basically back in the 40, 50 years ago, going by the same name, Dallas Cellar Club, that was very similar to what these guys are talking about.
Yeah, I'm seeing that when I'm going through the Google search results.
Yeah, it talks about how there's multiple levels, and the ground level, that's the regulars, that's the vanilla squares. I have no idea what's happening, right through the next door, basically. And again, is there any correlation? I have no idea, but that was another thing that was definitely odd, that it's a very similar circumstance to pre-existing bar. The next room over is just a massive orgy of swingers, and no one knows what's happening in the other room that's going on, basically. So again, is there a correlation? I have no idea, but that was a very weird coincidence, I guess we could say.
Well, I think you yet again you're on to something that's probably going to get you killed, Bob. So I do wish you the best throughout this investigation. I hope it's not over. I hope you can get to the bottom of it, and I hope that you've brought some light, some people that might not know much about this conversation that we're having right now. So this is a very cool topic that you've unearthed here. And if you would like more of Bob and Brittany, which Brittany didn't join us because she's a fucking communist, you can go to Tales from the Dark. There you can find them anywhere that you would find your favorite podcast. They also have a YouTube channel called Tales from the Dark. And I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised with the awesome content that Bob and Brittany put out. So, Bob, thank you so much for coming on the show, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me. And also, we do have a Facebook group. That's probably the easiest way to get updates with all this kind of stuff. And no, we're not done digging into this. We'll dig. It'll be just like Fattel. We'll dig into it until we get blocked by the owner. That's probably what's happening.
And Bob has a really like a community-based investigation thing. He'll have people help him out, and he'll have people constantly throwing him ideas for stuff. So it's very much community-driven. So if you're one of those people that likes to sit up all night and kind of take these deep dives, Bob could probably certainly you would love to hear what you're finding. I think he would do good work with anything you have to throw at him. But in the meantime, go check out his podcast, Tales from the Dark. He's a super awesome dude, and he has a super awesome show. What else? And I know you're constantly on the move looking for fucking Bigfoots and chupacabras and circuitas. We got circuitas over in all over Ohio right now. They live in the ground for 17 years. They come out, they butt fuck the shit out of each other, and then they lay in my backyard and they go... They just squeal. It's the most obnoxious noise in the entire fucking world. So what are you looking for right now? What are your travels that are coming soon, Bob?
Well, I can't give up too much details, but we are...
Oh, don't play that shit on this show. We're about transparency.
So we're as always, like you said, we're always fucking looking into something.
Yeah.
So we're running down a local cult that's gotten out of hand. We're looking into some murders in a couple towns away from us that were mishandled so grossly that it's become apparent to me, who had no idea what I was looking at. I have the social constructs of a third grader. And then, like I said, we're always doing something when it comes to cryptid exploration. We spent a good amount of time filming in caves here recently. So we have some big stuff coming middle of summer, end of summer. And then on top of all that, now we're into an alleged Epstein style sex club. So always exciting stuff happening on my end. And like you said, eventually one of these things is going to catch up to me and kill me, but at least I'll have some fun stories to tell in the meantime.
Yeah. And I think I haven't shared this with very many people, but I know towards Springfield, Ohio, there's a road called Jacoby Road. Back in the 80s and 90s, there was Hills Have Eyes type shit. A lot of people that went there and saw some things, had some fucking mutant mongoloids run out of the house there and beat on their fucking cars covered in sheets and blood and stuff like that. So put that on your list, because I'm not fucking with it. I've just heard stories, but that's haunted Jacoby Road. I think that's near Springfield, Ohio, and that'd be a good one we could go on our motorcycles. Bob has the same motorcycle as me, and we got saddlebags. We'll pack our motorcycles full of dildos, and we'll go to Jacoby Road.
I'm so down. Just I'll throw it on your calendar.
Yeah, right. Thank you. All right, guys.
Take my 10 speed.
Dude, what'd you say, Rob?
I'll take my 10 speed.
Oh no, you're riding on the back of mine.
You're way too pretty to not ride bitch with one of us, Rob.
It's really funny because every time my wife will, she'll say, "Go ride. Go ride on your motorcycle. Go take a ride." And I'll always be like, "Well, I don't want to ride without Rob, and Rob doesn't have a motorcycle." And then she's always very serious, and she says, "Well, just go pick him up." Like, it's not weird for her, for Rob to just ride on the back of the motorcycle with me.
Look, as long as his hands are on your shoulders and not around your hips, you're fine.
I don't fucking care where he puts his hands.
Oh man, we would be all over everybody's social media at that point. It'd be pretty fun.
This is Ohio. This isn't fucking Alabama, okay? This is he can put his hands wherever he wants. This is Pride Month.
Okay. That's fair. We'll accept that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to this episode of The Dark Vault. I'm the delicious Nick Licious. I'm here with Rob Diggity Dangle Dog and Bob from Tales from the Dark. We will catch you guys later.